Good morning and welcome to the porch. Thought we'd do a little porch talk video this morning if you guys don't mind. Get my glasses over here out of the way. Uh, you know, there's sometimes you have questions in your life that you really need to answer, and you need to pay very close attention to what your answer is, and only you can answer those. A lot of people out there are willing to tell you what they think, but it doesn't matter so much what they think as it does what you think when you're making decisions in life and you have questions about your own life. So, as you guys noticed by the thumbnail, we wanted to talk about the question, what would you do if you had $1 million in your bank account? And that's kind of a fun question to sit down and answer with your friends or your wife. And probably some of you had that conversation at one time or another, but nonetheless, it's a good question because it is a really good indicator as to where you are at in life. And it's important to know where you're at in life. And so if you had $1 million in your bank account, what would you do? Now, I asked myself that question a lot of times throughout life. And interesting enough, the answer to that has changed over the years. Now, when I first answered that question, I thought, well, I'd buy a new truck, then it would buy a new house, and we'd buy a boat and motorcycle and so on and so forth. And you think, well, okay, if you had all that, you'd be happy. They do make life fun. I don't want to take away from that. New car, new truck, new motorcycle, all those things make life more fun. But that gives you an indicator that you're in a stage of your life, which is usually your younger part of your life, that you still think that things are what will make your life better. Again, I want to emphasize things do make your life better in a way, but we're going to get to something here in a few minutes. If you guys will just stay with me toward the end of this, we're going to talk about the stages of life and getting your life to that place to where it really gets good. And believe it or not, $1 million won't make it good. I'm going to explain that if you guys just stay with me. So I'm going to go back on my own personal life because that's the life I know the best. At one time, Wanda and I, we got married and we had 3 kids. We decided to go into business for ourselves, and that was quite a struggle in itself. The early ages of our life, we decided to build a house during the process of that. We decided after we went into business, after a while, we decided to buy another business, and we did that at least a few times. We had a truck body shop, a construction company, a used car lot, a custom bike shop, motorcycle shop, and a custom car shop. So we had a lot going on. And if that wasn't enough, we worked within the Christian community quite vigorously to do some things there. I won't go into that. I might one day, but not today. I just want to make a point about how busy your life can get. And we didn't go into the Christian part of it for money. We did that because we wanted to give back into the world we live in and to the people around us, and that's the reason we did that. But anyway, we did that for 20 years, I guess. And after 20 years of running, and as they might say, burning the candle at both ends, we began to run out of candle. And you don't mean to, it just happened. We were getting older. And not only getting older, we were getting very tired. And we woke up one day, and I'll just be honest with you, there wasn't anything left of either one of us. We had just given so much to all of these different things. And a person may say, well, is that good to do that? Well, you do some good in all of that. I couldn't tell you how much good it is, but you do some good in all of that. And it does help educate you and grow you as a person. And that's a good thing. So I'm not dissing or trying to be down on that part of our life. I'm glad we did that because we learned a whole lot out of it. But one day we woke up, and without going into a deep conversation about this, we decided that wasn't what we wanted to do anymore in life. And we made a very major change in our life. And we got rid of everything we had, got rid of all our businesses, and we moved out to the West Coast and just took jobs out there. Now, because we had educated ourselves through all of the other things we'd done 20 years prior to that, it didn't take us long to end up, both of us were promoted as managers in a fairly large business out there, and they were paying us quite well. But anyway, one day I was walking around out in my yard. We'd been working there for a while, and the question came to my mind: what would you do if you could do anything you wanted to do? And my answer was, I'm doing it. I'm happier than I've ever been in my life. Of course, getting rid of all those businesses, getting those kids raised, and doing all that. I'll tell you what, it was quite a relief when all that was done. I love my kids. Don't get me wrong; they are very special in my mind, uh, and always will be. But boy, once we got them raised, I tell you, it was a bit of a relief now. And of course, getting rid of those businesses was as well. So anyway, I had to answer the question very simply: what would you like to do if you could do anything you want to do? And my answer was, I'm doing it right now. I'm happy as I've ever been. So if you said to yourself, let me let this car get by, got a couple of them, videoing outside again, it's a little bit noisy sometimes, but, and that guy can't seem to get up that hill without flooring that old truck, making all kinds of noise. Okay, I better leave that alone. Anyway, where was I? Anyway, I had answered the question that I was doing what I wanted to do, and I was very happy with that. So if you look at that and you say, well, if you had $1,000,000 at that time, what would you do? I was doing what I wanted to do with million if I had $1,000,000. So the question really kind of comes up: do you need $1,000,000 if you're happy with your life the way it is and you're doing what you want to do in life? Well, that's a good question. I think the point I want to make here, as much as anything, is $1,000,000 can change your life, but it'll never buy you happiness, guys. It just won't do it. It's finding what it is in life you want. Sometimes finding those things in life that you want, you go through some hard times, and hard times are part of life. And once you get past those, you learn to appreciate the good times. Now I'm down here now, and I've got a very simple life. I could have had a more complicated life. I was not too long ago, I'd been offered another big job out on the West Coast, and I declined it because I wanted to semi-retire, and that's what I've done. But when I walk around down here now with my simple life and say, what would you do, Paul, if you had $1,000,000? I'd say I'd do what I'm doing right now. Now, could I do some things a little better and a little easier? Sure, I could, but I'm pretty happy with things the way they are, and I don't think $1,000,000 would make me a bit happier. Now, when you get to the place in life you answer that question, if I had $1,000,000, what would I do? And the answer is, I'd do what I'm doing right now. You pretty well can measure out that you're where you want to be. So let me just walk us through at least 3 stages of life that we need to think about. There's one stage in your life that you think $1,000,000 will answer all the woes and the questions in your life and get you where you want to be, and it won't. Now, when I was out there on the coast, I made pretty fair money, so we bought pretty much anything we wanted. But you find yourself looking around one day, and the boat you used last year one time, the camper trailer you used it 3 times, and the motorcycle you hadn't ridden it so long you had to put a new battery on it because it wouldn't start. Battery went bad. So you start asking yourself the question, well, if these things don't make me happy enough that I use them, what do I need them for? So now you move it into the second phase of your life, that you start really weighing out, do these things matter or not? And when you get honest about it, is they don't. Well, I started selling things and getting rid of those things out there that I'd accumulated on the coast. We'd come out of a really hard time raising kids and building businesses and building houses. Stage number one. Stage number two, now we were just going to try to do a reset on our own lives, and we did. And it was a good time. It was a great time. I loved it. But I still hadn't gotten past the ideal that more stuff would make me happy. So we bought stuff till the world looked level. I'm ashamed to even say what all was sitting in my yard at that time. But I started selling it. Not because I need the money, because I was making good money. I didn't need the money. I just didn't need the headache of having all that stuff. And we got all that done, and we started thinking about life again, and we realized we were moving into a new reset. And that new reset, or that new phase of life, was simply this: is we'd come to the understanding, the knowledge that too much stuff can overcomplicate your life. And we didn't need all that stuff. So you start weighing out what is important to you. Now, the answer to this will be different for different people, okay? And the answer to this for us was simply this: a very simple home to live in, very simple paid for vehicles to drive, and a few things like that. But I didn't need much. And right now, if somebody were to say, well, you're in the third part of your life, how do you feel about it? Well, here's how I feel about it. I feel like I'm at the best place that I've ever been in my life. And really and truly, I believe that. And I feel good about that. I hope that noisy truck isn't messing up our video too bad. That guy, he can't start that thing without making a lot of noise. And he likes to hear that thing. I'm slowing down just so that I can let him kind of get done moving his truck around and making all the racket he's making. Well, anyway, I may have to cut part of this out. If I do, I do. Anyway, when you get to a place in life that $1 million is not your priority, and you know that it's not your answer, then you really begin to get a hold of what life's really about. And you may say, well, Paul, do you have to get as old as you to get there? Well, I hope not. I tell you, it seems to me like I'm a slow learner sometimes. I hope you can, if you hear this video and you think about what I'm saying, I'm hoping at some point you'll really start thinking about, what am I doing in life? Am I really doing what I want to do? And am I really where I want to be? And if you're not, start thinking about how to get there, because you're the only one that can change that and make that better. And let me tell you, before I close, from experience, it's just this right here. If you can get there sooner, you can have a richer and greater life. And it's through a lot of education, a lot of hard knocks that I've learned these things. Well, maybe you won't have to learn them. Maybe no man can tell you something that'll help you. I hope I helped you a little bit. Anyway, having said that, guys, we here at the Porch love you. We care about you. We want your lives to be better. May God bless, and have a good day.